Trump rolls out a fresh ultimatum as Mujtaba Khamenei refuses to budge, pushing the US-Iran standoff toward another dangerous turning point. The US president appears increasingly frustrated after Iran bluntly dismissed what Tehran portrayed as Trump's latest pressure campaign and diplomatic bluff.
At the present time, we are not conducting any negotiations with the United States. Negotiations are taking place with the Sultanate of Oman, and are focused on reaching an understanding on a route that ensures the safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz.
Trump turns up the heat while Iran digs in its heels, raising fresh fears that the fragile pause in fighting could soon collapse into war once again. After pausing military strikes on Iran, Donald Trump issued a fresh ultimatum demanding that Tehran return to the negotiating table without delay. On August 3rd, Donald Trump sharply criticized Iran after Tehran insisted there were no ongoing negotiations with the United States. Trump claimed Iran had privately begged for talks while publicly refusing to acknowledge that it was seeking negotiations with Washington. Posting on Truth Social, Trump also asserted that the Strait of Hormuz remains under the complete control of the United States Navy. The US president further warned Iran to either strike a deal with Washington or face what he described as total surrender to end the blockade. The US president said, and I quote, "Iranian leadership is unbelievably duplicitous. They ask for a meeting, some would say beg, talks begin, with more scheduled in the immediate future, and they say, openly and proudly, that they're not having any discussions, that nothing is being talked about. And they're only dealing with Oman." They then go on to give their usual blather in saying, the Strait of Hormuz will be operated powerfully by them, when it is already completely controlled by the United States Navy and our blockade, or, as some say, the United States Wall of Steel. Nothing gets through to Iran, unless we want it to, and nothing will get through, unless a deal, or total surrender, is accomplished. Whether Iran wants to admit it or not, we are, in fact, talking of a solution to a problem that they have caused for decades. It is very simple. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. End quote. The US president's latest outburst came shortly after Iran firmly rejected reports claiming that negotiations with Washington were underway. Iran's foreign ministry maintained that its only active discussions are with Oman and are focused exclusively on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, Trump had claimed US military strikes were paused after appeals from Iran and several Gulf allies created an opening for diplomacy.
At the present time, we are not conducting any negotiations with the United States. Negotiations are taking place with the Sultanate of Oman, and are focused on reaching an understanding on a route that ensures the safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. We are seeking, in consultation and cooperation with Oman, to determine this route as soon as possible, provided that by its nature it is a temporary route, through which we can ensure the safety of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Dr. Arachi is heading to Iraq today to take part in the Arbaeen pilgrimage ceremonies, which is a personal religious trip he makes every year. I would like to stress that all members of our negotiating team are still inside Iran. What the United States is doing in Keshem, Minab, and Lamert by targeting residential areas can only be described as war crimes. Under international law, all states are not only authorized, but also obligated to hold the perpetrators of these crimes accountable. We will spare no international legal means in our pursuit of justice against those who carried them out and those who ordered these atrocities. Just last week, the United States once again sent us what it calls aid. This time, the target was a taxi driver named Kazar Jafari, along with his wife and their 2-year-old child. That aid weighed about 1,000 kilograms, and it was a bunker-buster bomb designed to destroy the most heavily fortified military facilities, but it was dropped on an innocent Iranian family. Ukrainian officials, whether in their direct contact with the foreign minister or in the messages they sent us, confirmed that the targeting of the Iranian commercial vessel in the Caspian Sea was unintentional. But the evidence and indications are very clear, including the explicit statement by the Ukrainian president, which indicates that the attack was deliberate. We have listened to the explanations of the Ukrainian officials, and we are waiting to see whether they will in practice take any measures that confirm the validity of their claim that this crime was not intentional. It is concerning that a party involved in an ongoing conflict for 4 years in another region, and whose record unfortunately shows resorting to unconventional methods to attract attention and obtain support, is seeking to act in our region in a manner resembling false flag operations. This represents a warning to all the countries of the region what the United States is doing by targeting Iranian commercial navigation, whether through direct attacks it carries out from time to time or through sanctions and act of intimidation, constitutes a form of piracy. And when we describe that as piracy, the United States is unlikely to feel ashamed, because it has openly declared that it behaves like pirates, and even boasts about it. The claims made by American officials regarding the annexation of other countries to the United States, such as Greenland and Venezuela, which they casually publish on images in the accounts of other states via the X platform and attribute to them, are contrary to the fundamental principles of the United Nations Charter and the most important rules of international law. It is appropriate for all member states of the United Nations to take a responsible position on this matter and to declare their rejection of this approach.
What prompted you to call off the strikes last night?
I was asked to by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go. It's about at this time right now. And it would have been a massive attack. We're all set to go, but when the allies ask to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran. I call it the denuclearization of Iran.
So what should we expect?
We're holding it. We'll just see. We can do it anytime we want, but we were asked by the three primary groups. We were also asked by Iran, very strongly actually. They said, we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say, because a lot of times they'll say that to me, and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
What happens now?
Now what we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's true. I'd love to do that, save a lot of lives, save a lot of unnecessary power, to be honest with you. It would take many, many years to ever build it back. If it could, I don't think it would be even buildable back. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them, and they didn't want us to do it. And frankly, Saudi Arabia didn't want it either. They thought that a deal is imminent.
Is there a deadline, sir?
And the deal is imminent, having to do with the Hormuz Strait, and also ultimately the denuclearization. So when I hear that, I say, well, do we want to go and be this severe? Now, there's a group of people that would like me to just do it. And there's another group of people that does not want me to do it.
Does Iran have a deadline to come to an agreement?
We'll just see how it is. We're ready to go anytime we want. Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people. Because people die, a lot of people die. And we don't want that. So they asked us, Iran specifically, but the other three said I asked Saudi Arabia, the king, I said, the Crown Prince, I said, what would you rather do? Would you rather have us do this or not? They said, we would much prefer a deal as opposed to an attack, because you don't know where these attacks lead. I mean, will they be flooded with people pouring into their country and disaster? A lot of bad things can happen.
Sir, there's a report that you're moving U.S. troops out of Bahrain and Kuwait. Are troops being moved out of the Middle East?
Mr. President, why is the U.S. intervening to support the Japan yen at this time, to support the Japanese currency?
Because we have a good relationship with Japan. We're very strong, very, very strong financially. They have a weakening yen, and they wanted a little bit of help, and we're always there for Japan. Japan's been very good to us, with the exception, of course, of Pearl Harbor.
Mr. President, what is the U.S. getting out of that arrangement?
Financial benefit. Financial benefit. It's also good for the world economy. But we make, like when we did with Argentina, I got criticized, we made $25 billion on that deal. On Venezuela, we make hundreds of billions of dollars. I make good deals. Intel, I made $75 billion for the country. I didn't make for me, I made for the country. Intel. I backed Intel. It's the hottest stock right now on the New York stock, on the various stock exchanges. So we made about $75 to $80 billion. And Japan wanted to, it was really more than anything else, it was a signal of friendship.
You said that the anti-weapon
and the dollar is doing great.
You said the
The fact is, our country is doing great. Everybody wants help from our country.
You said the anti-weapon. I'm with ABC News. You said the
BBC?
ABC.
Oh, ABC. That's worse.
You said the
I like BBC
anti-weaponization.
better than ABC is.
The anti-weaponization fund is back on the table. What are your
No,
plans?
they don't improve. Look, we have a man named Todd Blanche. He's outstanding in every way. Most of you know who he is. You're not going to find a better person. And everybody, and it's because I backed one his opponent, and his opponent won in a landslide. It's the only reason it's happening. But I will say there are a lot of people that like. People were hurt so badly. 22 suicides. They were destroyed. Their families were destroyed for doing things that, honestly, there's never been an attack on any group of people in this country, in my opinion. Maybe one. There's one group that was attacked violently and viciously, like these people were attacked. And this would be a reimbursement for the pain that they suffered. A lot of people like it. If they don't approve Todd, I put it back on the table. A lot of people like it. A lot of big supporters of Trump like it.
Mr. President, there's been some domestic abuse allegations against Congressman Max Miller. Do you think he should resign?
Well, I'm going to look at it. I mean, so far it's accusations. I'll be looking at it.
Will the U.S. do anything to address OpenAI and Anthropic's models hacking other systems?
We're very much involved in that. We have a big stake in that. So does the world. So we're looking at it.
So in Canada, have you decided on a punishment yet for the wildfire stuff? What is? Can you share?
Back on Iran, were you prepared to hit energy targets?
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
I can't say that. There was going to be a massive attack. It was going to be an attack that would have been by far the biggest attack since World War II. But they've asked us not to do it. They said, please don't do it. And their neighbors said that too. And so we're just going to see whether or not we can make a deal toward the denuclearization.
Some negotiations, did you say?
What's your directive for him? He's supposed
to do a great job. He's outstanding, as you know. He's an outstanding man. You look at his education. He was the head of, then he was immediately, very early at a young age, went to the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, one of the most prestigious, maybe the most prestigious law firm in the world. He headed up, let's see. I mean, look at the companies. Look at what he did. Oh, by the way, and he was for 4 years, he was a great SEC chairman.
Do you want him to continue the initiatives that you had Bill Pulte doing?
I want him to do what he wants to do. He's an outstanding person. Everybody wanted him. And really, I mean, he's truly outstanding.
Nancy Guthrie, the investigation into her disappearance, now 6 months long, stalled out. Is it time for the FBI to get involved?
Well, they are involved to an extent, but as you know, the local community really runs those things. And some people haven't liked the way the local communities run it. They haven't liked the way the sheriffs run it. But we would like to give them the benefit. But we're there anytime they need us. It's a terrible thing. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.